Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Earth Body Consciousness. Great to have you with us today. Today, I am catching up with my dear friend Arayah. We've done two podcasts already, yeah, which I found really beautiful and really nice conversations. And today, we felt to get together again and see, yeah, where things take us, what wants to come out and be expressed. So, welcome. Nice to have you again.
Yeah, so good to be here and so lovely to have a chat with you and just it's always good to talk and just go over our experiences and see what comes up, see what our higher selves want to talk about and express. Yeah, and what's going on in our lives really. I think that's the only thing that we can really talk about. Yeah, it's our
Yes.
through our lenses, and I think it's really important to understand that even when we're watching other people's podcasts, some of the stuff will resonate, and sometimes it's not, for us. But yeah, we will always feel what is and what isn't. So
Yeah, totally. And that's that old thing, like you say, just take what resonates and leave the rest, you know?
yeah,
It's the
yeah,
best. Because, and then, that can be true today, and then tomorrow, that thing that didn't resonate might resonate. So there's also to have that openness as well.
yeah. It's such a good point. Such a good point. Exactly. And I think I was reminded of that today is that we're all changing so rapidly and we're evolving and changing our perspectives. That even our best friends or people we've known our whole lives, we have to take each other in each now moment, I think. And that's, I was really contemplating that this weekend of trying to see other people through fresh eyes as well, really releasing the past and seeing people in their highest light with the possibility of them stepping into their higher selves and into newness. So not only just giving myself that opportunity, but giving other people a chance to show you where they are at in each new moment. So yeah.
Wow, that's so beautiful.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. That's really quite precious actually. Yeah, and it's true. That's actually how we could be operating 24/7 anyway, because every moment's new, isn't it? And
Yeah.
and we're in these new energies, like you say, everything. We don't know how it works. Well, I don't know. I'm still figuring it out.
Yeah. Same. Same.
And we were talking about our tastes and things like that, and actually, just kind of ending when we were talking about that, I was reminded of the chips that I ate yesterday,
Yeah.
which that brand proper chips, which are
Yeah.
oven baked,
Yeah.
and there's a chili flavor, and
Hmm.
it's got a bit of a bite, and I like a bit of a bite at times, and I don't always go for it, but I went for it this time,
Yeah.
and after a while, it just hurt my stomach. I just
Oh.
couldn't enjoy them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a bit too much of a bite and a little bit
Yeah,
too.
a real
Yeah.
bite.
Mm. Yeah. So do
And
you
and
feel, yeah, sorry.
I just feel that's what you're saying, how we're changing, like things are changing with us, and it's
Yeah.
like how you're meeting people like and with new eyes and the first time. It's like
Mm.
it's like it feels like I'm getting asked to meet everything like that with new eyes for the first time.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's powerful. Yeah, that's beautiful. And I think we need to re a little bit it's a little bit of rescripting there. Maybe I'm just talking about myself, but I still often notice that I fall back on past experiences. So and even though I think of myself as open-minded, if I'm really honest, I have, you meet someone and you place them in a category, right? You have a feeling or an impression but everyone's at the moment going through so much and with such rapid change and um quick insights. And I think it's crucial at this time that we try and see everything as possibly ascending or going to a higher level or breaking through their own false ceilings. Because if we don't hold other people to that possibility, then and ourselves included in that, yeah, then we everything stays the same, yeah. Then we're keeping reaffirming to ourselves our own patterns, our own stories, and our own interaction with those people. And it's yeah, it's normal that we do that because we've been conditioned that way, and we've learned to base everything that we perceive upon an experience that we had previously. But I'm trying to observe myself observing without going down that rabbit hole too much, like what we talked about earlier, that you can also get stuck into that over processing mode.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So what does that mean? Where does that go? And what, da, 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 and off you go. Yeah.
Mm,
And also I feel like you're saying, what came to me was that association, like there's a lot of things I find for myself. When I do something, there's an association that I would also be doing that thing with it. Like a cup of tea,
yeah.
and I'd like to dunk biscuits and
Yeah.
watch something on YouTube or TV if I had a TV or something like that,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I have observed that lately, the odd time I've gone to do something similar to that, and then I just don't have that same feeling like
Mm.
of enjoyment, of what it once was. And I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
and then, like you say, being the observer of that and going, so there's something different
Yeah.
here. Okay,
Mm.
so, and you could inquire, like you say, don't go too far. So it could be just like, okay, do I not want to watch this thing?
Yeah.
Or am I not really feeling like a cup of tea? Or is this actually taking me into a place that's done, it's
Yeah.
spent its time, it's served its purpose, and
Yeah.
now there's another way of
Yeah.
feeling relaxed or fulfilled, whatever that thing is when you do those things. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. What can you replace it with? And yeah, how does that make you feel? I observed something similar, exactly what you just said. Just and it's a little example, but by drinking coffee, I would attach other things to that. So I then want to have something sweet with that. Um, and then there's the whole coffee culture. So, and then I kind of had an observation of like, okay, if I keep doing this, and even though it was just 1 cup a day, and I know it's not that bad, but it was connecting me into an emotional state of being. And through that, I realized that you're connected to a collective consciousness of coffee drinking as a means of keeping pushing forwards without actually tuning into your inner wisdom, if that makes sense. So going
Yeah.
over your boundaries in terms of what your body is actually wanting. And so yeah, I had this kind of small, but at the same time big realization of um, how it's actually harming me more than it was giving me pleasure. Yeah.
Hmm.
So I think we all just very quickly, starting the last couple of weeks, especially finding those, like we're fine tuning, finding those areas in our lives where we can fine tune a little bit so that we can expand into more of our light.
Hmm.
Yeah.
For me, refining, like actually the word refining, reset, and refresh, they were words that keep coming up, for me it's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. And reflection, reflect on that,
Yeah.
what has been, and then sit with and go,
Mm.
okay, maybe today I'll have my cup of tea, but I won't, have that biscuit or that cake
Yeah.
or scone or whatever it is, or um, and then just see how that feels.
Yeah.
And then just be open and go, okay, actually, no, there's not just a refinement, there's a reset. So it's like, okay, so I don't do that for some days and just, or a
Yeah.
week or 2 weeks, because I don't do it every day anyway. But
Yeah.
yeah, and then see what's, like you say, comes in. If there's something else that needs to be there, or what is it, you know? I mean, I get a lot of enjoyment out of drinking water, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. You could have anything else that you can replace it with that actually gives you that life force that has much more life in it, much more energy than. But I just had a little internal laugh because my cup says coffee. I don't know if you can see it because of my background,
Oh
but
yeah.
it has turmeric tea, tea in it. I made myself a healthier option with turmeric and cinnamon and a little bit of apple cider vinegar, a tiny dot of honey, and some cinnamon, and a little bit of cayenne pepper. So it has a bit of bite to it.
Mm.
So that's what I replace my naughtier coffee habit with. So
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Nice. So I
yeah.
talking of that because I don't drink coffee, but I drink dandelion root. That's what
Ah,
if I feel like something like
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I have tried that in the past. I like the bitterness of it. It,
Yeah.
it made me feel a bit queasy, but that was kind of like a long time ago. So maybe I should give it another chance, just like anything. Well, we talked about giving things a chance. Yeah,
Yes, revisiting it. I
revisiting.
do
Yeah.
find the roasted dandelion more like that coffee kind of flavor than just dandelion that hasn't been
Oh,
roasted. Yeah, it's quite
oh.
different.
So which one do you prefer, the roasted or?
The roasted is nicer. I don't have roasted one at the moment, just straight dandelion. Um, yeah, but I don't really drink cups of tea that often, especially,
Oh,
in the warmer
yeah,
weather as well.
yeah,
And like I say, I find it hard to just have a cup of tea by itself. I feel like
yeah,
I want something else with it.
yeah. That's it. Yeah, it's the associations that we have with things. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
mm, yeah.
And then
Very
and then
different.
it's like, oh no, I didn't really need that. Yeah, okay.
Mm, yeah,
And then
but
you get
it's
an
so.
opportunity to learn to learn from their experience, and what do you want to choose now?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. It never stops, that learning of what are the consequences, and yeah.
Yeah.
So I felt earlier this week to bring through this template, or my higher self was bringing through the colors and the dynamics of that. And so I'll just move aside a little bit. Um,
Maybe describe it a little bit for the audio
yeah. So
listeners.
I wanted to describe it. This is coming through with the ruby ray. So it has that depth of the ruby ray, the physicality, and the word that came through with it was perseverance. And so this could be just for me, but I always kind of like to share my templates and my art in case it resonates. But I've been feeling a little bit tired, not just physically tired, but soul tired as well. Um, just because so much is happening on the inner planes in terms of what we are doing, our nighttime processing and all of that. Um, and sometimes I notice sometimes when I'm kind of ready to give up, when I say out loud to the universe, I can't do this anymore, is usually when I'm just about to break through to another level of consciousness. When these big things happen, what we talked about earlier, when we have a purge or things are really hard, or we have a big cry or a week where everything seems to not go right. We're actually, in that moment, we're actually already accessing another possibility. And that other stuff that seems to be hard or not working, or where we feel stopped, or where something is happening that's uncomfortable, is literally only coming up because another opportunity is coming in that's more aligned for us, or that's more serving or healthier or for whatever reason. Yeah. And so that was what this template was about. It was perseverance, strength, courage. The ruby ray bringing that sort of that physicality, the some solid ground to stand on. Yeah, some strong foundation. So like sort of we've got this. We're holding you up.
Yeah.
Keep going. Yeah.
Mm.
Because I do feel that we're collectively also, and I can't really speak for the collective, but it's my observation um, that I notice a lot of the people that I connect with are having similar things, that we're going through some of the bigger um, darkness, polarity that we might have not wanted to face on some level. And I think it could very well be lineage stuff that, um, yeah, that we either have lived in another lifetime or that is coming through our lens because we are the ones that can pull it through, that we can unify it, that we have enough light embodiment or love or whatever that is. So we can bring certain harder pieces into unity. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think, yeah, I think we need each other for that. So that, we've got each other's back. We need a bit of a reminder that, you know, might feel hard right now, but it's getting better and lighter, and we're doing this. And yeah, maybe a little bit of encouragement from our lineage light pools as well. So yeah, earlier this week they came through with that encouragement for me to say, "You've got this." And then I usually see the lions, I see my wolf, and it just helps me to realign. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and I like how you say these things come up before like a breakthrough. So it
Hmm.
feels, they're coming to the surface really strongly, and you can find that you're in it, but it's not really that you're in it. It's just that they're resurfacing to make the room for that next
Hmm.
more aligned thing, like you say. And I
Yeah,
found for me the last Yeah, I think pretty much every morning now when I go into a deep meditation, because I don't always go super deep into my meditation when I'm setting my field, but often
yeah,
when I do really go deeper into it nowadays, just the last few days, there's a healing that happens. I go into something that's not in alignment, or it's served its purpose, and I
yeah,
see the hurt child, and I go through some trauma release and crying, or see a visual or something like that, and it's
yeah,
really beautiful. Like they're really, really powerful and happening without any intention or anything, like I'm just because I'm in that higher frequency that they just come up to
hmm.
say, yeah, we're wanting to move out so you can be really in this high frequency, and
Yeah,
um, it's really beautiful. And there's
it is.
what
Yeah,
I've really noticed in myself lately is this wanting to do what I want. And it actually came first with food, like because I just had my cleanse and I did a liver cleanse for 9 days and it was amazing and I felt
yeah,
really good. And I
yeah,
wasn't even looking for a liver cleanse. I just had a sense of the kind of food I wanted to eat. And this person that presented this liver cleanse, which is a little bit different to what I've known them to usually, because it wasn't fasting,
yeah,
it was really aligned, like the food, like the regime of a lemon juice, then a celery juice, and then a smoothie, and
yeah,
then during the day a salad, and then the night a salad with just fruits, dried
yeah,
fruits, and that's it, nothing else. It was all fresh and light and yummy, and it was really good to do. And then when I came out of that or got near the end, I had this again. I just want to eat what I want to eat. I just
yeah,
want to eat what I want. I kind of almost like I don't care. It's okay to just have something. And then I was like, oh,
mm,
there's that owning something or feeling something that you choose from a
yeah,
conscious place. And then
yeah,
there's this other part where it's more related to some kind of trauma. And this was.
Yeah.
It's about, I want what I want,
Okay. Yeah. 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 And I want it now.
Yeah, and I want it now, yeah, and I
Yeah.
might have even more than what I should have,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and all that. And so I went into that, um, and I got this metaphor. Well, actually, what also came up was meeting some people, and it felt good to meet them, but then I wanted to go at my own time, and I was like, oh, I want to go at my own time. What? And that's so I can do the things I want to, and I'm like. Oh, so I believe if I met those people earlier, I wouldn't be able to go and do the things that I wanted to or how I would like to do them that I believe serves me because I know there's an aspect of, okay, I just want to go to that market and get those things and then walk over there and there's a bit of time involved and da da da.
Hmm.
So I looked at all the aspects and I just went, yeah, no, that's just the same thing actually, what's happening there. And so I fell into it, and then I just saw this big foot. It was like a metaphor, and it stood on me, and I felt trapped. And I was like, oh, so I feel when I say yes to these things that people are going to stop me from doing what I want to do. And it's the same, I'm doing that with myself, with food as well. So I was like, oh, what's that about? And I just went into a past childhood, well, actually, this life childhood experience where I was wanting to see something. I couldn't see what it was, but I was held by one of my parents by the arm and I was screaming and crying and going, oh, I just want to go there, like, why can't I go? And they were like holding me and that's what I'm finding. These things they're just presenting themselves so easily and strongly.
That's super powerful. So just like an instant vision of that occurrence when you were younger,
Yes.
showing you where that originates. And so Jacob, what do you do then when that surfaces? Do you breathe it out? Do you sit with it for a moment? Do you allow it to consciously leave your body field? What would be your next step then in that moment?
Generally, I ask those questions like, what do you require? What do you need?
Okay.
And then, yeah, it could be just feeling it for a while, could be just sitting in it and really feeling that hurt and crying and crying and crying,
Yeah.
and then but making sure you stay centered so you're still conscious yourself, you're not actually overcome by that emotion and that's taken you over and you've lost yourself. It's just still staying as a conscious being within that traumatic experience.
Hmm.
Um, it could also be, like you say, breathing, movement, just sitting. Yeah, so I generally ask what does it require in this moment? How can I best serve this to move through me and just stay in the place of love and gratitude and compassion? Yeah.
Yeah. So do you feel like if you're staying in that surrender, in that same energy that helped it to come up, it just naturally finds its way?
Yeah.
And you just allow yourself to go with it, like your body, everything sort of knows what it's doing. Like your body has its own innate wisdom, right? Like,
Yes.
yeah. And I'm just so excited that we're talking about all these things. We're talking about purging. We're talking about that it's getting easier to get these insights. And I think that's key. That's happening for all of us now, right? There's so much light coming onto the planet. That even if you weren't already on the path, I notice a lot of people getting much more receptive to yeah, talk about these things. Have you noticed that lately in your surroundings as well, in people that you meet and
Yeah, for sure. I even find I'm sometimes kind of caught where I'm just walking somewhere and I catch some people in a conversation and then I hear them and I kind of turn around and go, wow,
yeah,
that's quite deep what they're talking about,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that they're not talking about the news or,
Hmm.
tragedies and that. They're actually self-reflecting and or relating from a conscious place. So yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, that's really cool when that happens, hey. And I think it's a little bit ties in with what we said earlier, like keeping an open mind that things are shifting rapidly and that people might be changing. And I also think it's time for us to really reveal, like to be very transparent about these things.
Hmm.
I don't know about you, but in the past, I would always keep my mouth shut. I would fear being judged for who I am, really, what I do. But I now notice, for example, earlier this week we were at the doctor's for an issue with my son's foot, and he actually was a really lovely, very open, elderly gentleman. And he asked me what Janine, he said, literally turned to me and said, because I introduced myself and he remembered my name, which I thought was very interesting because nowadays when you go to the doctor, usually they're already typing and there's not much interaction. But he turned to me and said, Janine, what do you do for a living? And my son, who we were there for, turns, looks at me, and he kind of looks like, don't go too far, Mum, because he's always worried that I am weird in other people's eyes. But anyway, I just said to him, well, actually, I'm a natural healer. I work with energies and I approach things holistically, work with spiritual energy. And so he said, oh, it's so like Reiki. And I said, yeah, a little bit like that. And anyway, he starts asking all these questions and I was kind of blown away. And here, this is really interesting. He talks about, first of all, he asked me questions about diabetes. And I've had experience with that. So he starts talking about it. He's telling me that he went to a conference in somewhere in America. I can't remember. Together with his wife, um, and they learned about this is like I don't even know if I should be sharing this, but first of all, that what they're telling in the medical system that diabetes can't be cured is only because of the pharmaceutical companies. And then he starts talking about carbohydrates and things like that. Um, and he's asking me where I learned what I learned. And I said, well, from experience, because I was diagnosed with diabetes and I have reversed it myself. And anyway, we got into a really beautiful discussion about that it's not just diet, that it's also energetics, that at the time when I was diagnosed with diabetes that I was very sad and I had lots of loss in my life and my body was literally not processing sweetness because I didn't see any more sweetness in my life. Um, so yeah, we had a really amazing discussion that was super eye-opening for my son as well because he all of a sudden realized that there was this authority figure who was accepting of my reality. And yeah, we went into an amazing discussion about diet, about causes of disease, and then he ended the our chat towards the end of Chris's treatment with saying that he feels that the current medical system could really benefit from people who work with energy, people who work with the mind, and other modalities, and that they should all be working together. And I was like
Mm.
blown away. It was so awesome and so hopeful. Yeah, so that was a really amazing day just from a doctor's visit. And just by me staying in my own lane, in my own energy, and actually just being super transparent and open and not be afraid to be
Yeah,
myself. Hmm.
beautiful. Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm not saying it like as in like look at me or do as I do, but more like it's sort of hope. I'm getting hope from that. I'm feeling hopeful that more and more people are waking up and are able to tap into other possibilities.
Mm. Hmm.
Yeah, and he actually admitted that he thought that the healthcare system at the moment isn't um, enough, let's say it very gently, focused on healing anymore, but it's become a money-making machine.
Wow.
Yeah, and
Straight
that,
straight
and
from a doctor.
so yeah, So that's interesting, eh?
It's very cool.
So
Very good.
change is happening. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, and
Mm.
it's like you say, because we're sharing about these things, it's important because for people
Oh.
like that, yeah, they don't know where to look or who to talk to and things often,
Mm.
because maybe none of their friends or colleagues or anything are asking the same questions. Or maybe
Yeah.
they are now, but yeah.
Yeah, but you're right. And it was one of the things that he said too, that he often when he shares his views, he says it's like something comes over people and the eyes get shifty and the whole body language changes, and then he knows instantly that they're not kind of open for something like that. So
Mm,
that's so interesting, eh?
yeah.
And mm,
Yeah, I had a talk with my mum this the other day or yesterday, I think. And she was talking about the fires happening in LA and things and how bad it is and how the planet
yeah,
people need to start looking after the planet and doing things differently and I've noticed she's been saying that a bit more lately and I
uh-huh.
said, well, yeah, that's true, Mum. Like every one person, because so many one people think, oh, I'm just one person, I can't do anything. But if there's so many people that say that, that's thousands, and even maybe even millions that can do something, and then yeah, it becomes a lot more accessible to change because the next person beside you is doing something, and then oh, I am, and then the whole network and yeah, the invitation
Yeah.
and change and everything. And I was telling her about that, but then she went into, well, it's actually the powers to be, the governments and all that, they need to be doing more. They're the ones that need to
Mhm.
start,
Oh,
doing stuff. And I was like, oh, this is good because
yeah, yeah.
normally my mum would think, nice government, yeah, they do their best and they do a lot of awesome things
Oh,
and da da
yeah.
da, whereas she was just like on their case big time.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where change starts, hey, because it becomes uncomfortable, becomes so uncomfortable that people need or want to start finding different ways. And the first thing is usually that we pinpoint what's irking or where it's rubbing or what's not going well. And yeah, then we start to kind of point fingers, which is good because we kind of know what direction we're looking at. But then the next step is that we begin to internalize that in some way, that we look at it from how can we shift that perspective inside of us.
Mm.
Because I strongly believe and know from experience that when we shift that paradigm within us, when we transform it, when we take it from a polarized viewpoint into a unity consciousness and we hold that strongly within us, we don't even need to. Um, of course, it's great to take aligned action, but we don't really even need to because
No.
it's just that holding something with intention in the highest alignment creates the outer. The outer then aligns. It's like, say that you had a box of wooden blocks, and in your mind, you're holding a perfect, beautiful house, and you know in your mind and in your heart, and you have that coherence, that mind-heart coherence, what it looks like. It's almost like then what happens in the outer is that almost like the blocks come out of the box and they stack themselves and they form that beautiful house. So imagine that you and I do it, and then someone else joins us,
Mm.
and another person, and the circle becomes bigger and bigger. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how the new earth is going to be built. It is first built as a light lattice, a structure that informs
Yes. Yeah.
around us, and then everything else turns into that alignment because there's
Mm.
that no other possibility because the highest frequency on offer always carries. So I think in that way, we have so much more power than we realize.
Hmm.
Yeah. It's not that you say, oh, what can I do as one person alone? It's you can do so much. And that's kind of what I meant with our transparency when we walk into a doctor's office and we hold our highest vibrational truth, even if the doctor doesn't know me, which he didn't, he can feel it. So he feels safe to open up. And maybe we, yeah, wake things up in each other. Yeah, we share that information on a subconscious level and on a conscious level. And So that's the power of of the people coming together in the light, and then it
Yes, that
begins to strengthen. It becomes a web,
yes, yeah, yeah, it becomes a huge network. That
network. Yeah.
that frequency, we hold that frequency.
Mm.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's all there for us, and like say each one of us who does it, then yeah, it becomes stronger and stronger and stronger.
Mm. Yeah. It's cool, eh?
Yeah, it's
It's cool
amazing.
how it works, but we need to
It's
remind each other sometimes. It's hard to stay in that sometimes, right? We all have our moments where we doubt it, or where we think it isn't working because we've done it for a while and we haven't seen the effect in the outer yet. And that's where the perseverance comes in. Yeah, just sort of when it gets really hard, it actually means that you're almost there. It's
mm,
working. It means it's working. Yeah. It means that your manifestation's happening and it's bringing up everything that's not in alignment with
one minute.
what you're doing.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you're about to break through to the next level.
Yes, yeah. I find for me it's the doubt that the journey with the doubt. So when the doubt really comes up, I've learnt now, and I have had assistance with others who talk of this as well. That's again like you're saying, you're just about to move into a new frequency. So it happens just prior to it, and as long as you don't let it overtake you or you get caught up in it and go into that and just allow it and recognize it for what it is, then you make that space and then you step into this new frequency, and I'm finding that the new frequencies feel subtle as well, like the shift. Like I can't always notice it or tell that there's been a shift, and it might be actually someone else, and they just go, "Oh, wow, you're looking really great," or like, "Oh, you're so much lighter," and or what you're sharing, and I'm like, "Oh, I just kind of feel similar to what I did," but actually, yeah, it is shifting, because
Yeah.
I find back in the day, whenever the day was, it was more high and lows. You really notice the big wait, wow, I'm
Yeah.
euphoric and amazing, and then you're all down. Whereas those can still happen, but the shifts and the evolution is kind of happening without things happening around that can notice.
Yeah. It's happening a little bit differently than before.
Yes.
Yeah. Like more subtle.
Yeah.
And perhaps because we're living it, we are in it.
Mm.
Um, I don't know about you, but it's much more dreamy for me lately too. I'm a little bit more fluid or something. It,
Hmm.
during the day, everything's sometimes a little bit like surreal all of a sudden, or we are becoming so multidimensional, like we're tapping into things. And um, I even notice when people are thinking of me, or I get a smell or a feel. Or
Yeah, yeah, totally. Yes,
yeah,
very much. Yeah.
yeah. So, but
It's
other
like that
people probably
embodiment.
notice it more. Pardon?
Yes. It's like that we're starting to embody it more.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're actually being it instead of feeling it or sensing it, we are it. So it
Ah,
feels more subtle because it's, in our being more rather than coming into our being or stepping more into it, mate. Something like that. It feels, yeah.
that's a really good point. Yeah, I love that you said that. Yeah. So because we are embodying it, it's less observed almost because
Mm,
our reality is who we are. Whereas if you embody it for a moment in time, it's a big shift from one now moment to the next in how we feel, and then maybe it leaves us again, but it's becoming more part of everyday reality, part of ourselves, part of our being.
yes.
Is that how I could explain it? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Ah,
I
okay.
I feel so. It's also it's like the other day I had an experience where you think of someone and then they ring you. That happens. Well, I felt this one was a different level of that. So I've been meaning to talk to a client about having another session, and I was wondering if he was available because I was available to give him a session, and I keep forgetting to message him, and I knew that I'm going to be busy, and I thought, oh, actually, I need to message him. I better do that. So after 2 days of saying that to myself several times and not doing it, I jumped on my phone. I went on Messenger and I went, hey brother, and I was going to write, hey brother, keen to do a session this week. How are you situated or something? And I went, hey brother, and then his message came through and went, hi, how you going? I'm keen to do a session this week.
Ah, yeah, that's
And
beautiful.
it wasn't just synchronized of the thinking, but even the words,
Mm.
everything are totally aligned, you know?
Yeah.
Like right in that absolute moment, it
Mm.
was like, wow, it
Yeah.
was awesome.
Yes, that is an absolute confirmation of what you're calling in, what you're entertaining, and what he's entertaining, and that it's a match, a frequency
Yes.
match, everything. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing. Hey. We are all just learning so much. It's just going so rapidly. Hey, how it works and the sort of the coherence and what it does, how it attracts everything towards us in terms of what we're entertaining, what we're drinking, what we're eating, who we hang
Hmm.
out with, what we're watching. Um,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel it's all there for us, It's when
Mm.
we just open to that possibility, everything that's in our field that's in alignment is already there and given to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's one more thing that that I noticed lately is that and I did a post on one of the socials a little bit earlier, is that we need to kind of and need to, I say this really lightly, but obviously there are a lot of people now waking up to their spiritual selves, yeah, like, so I don't want to say to spirituality because I don't want to label it, but to the fact that they are more than just a body, more than just their thoughts, yeah. I feel like we collectively need to, might want to remember that we need to have allowance for that. Because initially, and I don't know, I do actually know your awakening story, but usually it comes with some difficulty and people going through heaviness and maybe
Heartbreak or something like that.
yeah, difficult things. So I notice in myself that I'm getting tired. I want things to get easier, and I'm annoyed when people come with their drama, with their darkness, with their, But at the same time, I'm being reminded, my higher self saying, not that I have to do anything with it, but just to kind of like to allow it to just be what it is. Leave it with them. If you are asked to assist, give some of your wisdom if it's required, or just a hug, or just be loving. But yeah, I'm not quite sure how to word this best, but to kind of really just have a loving container for that too, because it's going to come up more and more. Yeah. It's part of what we are doing here, and it's the part that we don't like to deal with. It's the part that's, stinky, heavy, painful, you know, all that stuff. But and because we've been doing it for ourselves for a little while, maybe we're sort of tired and we want to retire and go to, you know, and it's very important that we do charge our batteries and that we have that space for ourselves. But at the same time, I think, yeah, just to be aware that it's part of what we're doing. It needs to come up.
Hmm.
Yeah. You can't be working with the light but denying the difficult part of it,
Hmm.
because it's literally the point of it.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful. I love
Yeah.
how you've said that. I feel you have said that well. I really hear what you're saying, and yeah, that whole shadow aspect, and it's got to present itself, and it takes me into that place where we can be in a place of setting boundaries as well, which is important to do, and healthy boundaries and all that for sure.
Hmm.
I would
Yeah.
also inquire if that's an aspect of avoidance as well, of
Hmm.
certain situations where you might go, oh, I don't want to be around that, or, I'm done with that. I've done my work and I'm
Yeah.
in a different place and I can go off into these realms and feel good. And that's where what I'm sitting in now, and is that totally aligned? That's what I would inquire because I feel for some in that boundary setting, I think there is a little bit of distortion maybe of what's truly happening and what's there for them,
Hmm.
or for us as well, and all these things I say
Yeah.
for myself as well, I'm included in everything I'm sharing.
Yes, of course. Yeah. Yeah. I recognize myself in that. Now you're saying this, I instantly feel like I'm very much talking about myself, very much notice where I'm like, oh my God, done with that. Oh, yeah. And so and then my mind frames it as in like, I have no more allowance for that. And
Mm,
then my higher self is asking for patience or for unconditional love, really. That's
mm,
kind of what I'm being asked to because then I don't judge it. I don't pull it towards me because I don't make it mine with my judgment. I
yeah.
just leave it with them, but at the same time recognize that I've been there, done that, and it was super hard for me at the time. And so it's kind of, yeah, I need to kind of be show some empathy for that
Mhm.
even though I'm tired and I don't want to. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 totally. I totally resonate with that. And you also remind me of while I was on my walk and I shared with I think maybe with you about this. And did I do a post about it? I can't remember. Anyway, I was finding I was with some people who were projecting, and they were just where they were, and they're lovely people, and I could see the loveliness of them and the goodwill, and I could
Yeah.
also sense and feel projections and perceptions and representation of what was happening through their own filters and things like that.
Hmm.
And then I just brought it back to myself, and I could see where that was happening with me as well. And I was also playing that game, but in a different way, because of how I related to it. But also, it was, yeah, not necessarily a different way, but I was doing similar at a different time, or not so much in the dynamics of the relationship. What I did with it was to reflect on it. And I came to a place to see that. If I don't want to have a relationship with someone, so I don't want to engage,
Hmm.
and therefore I don't know who they are, I don't know their story, I don't know what they've gone through, where they're at on their journey. Okay, on a psychic level, yeah, maybe I have some insight, but in just generalization, I don't know these things. I
Hmm.
don't know their coping mechanisms, all those kind of things unless I engage and I create some kind of relationship and I get to know them and I get to see their mannerisms and things like that. So what it showed me is if I don't engage, which you don't have to, or if someone doesn't want to engage with me and create a relationship, that's fine as well. And what I found is to not go into judgment and projection and our perception of things. I needed to be in a place of equality, so I need to see them as an equal, that we're all from the same source. We're all walking this planet in our earthly experiences as a soul, and we're still trying to work it out. And no one is more than anyone else. Doesn't matter where you are on your conscious level. For to not when you're not engaging in that way, to stay in that place of equality, and neutrality is really essential, I found, to not go into judgment and things and projection, because projection can happen without any words, it can be very strong.
Yeah.
I can feel that easily, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so beautifully said. I love that. Yeah. It's kind of like full circle what we talked about, and it's exactly how you worded it. It's like this amazing conclusion of staying in equality, really
Yeah.
understanding, really truly understanding that we are all one. We
Mm,
are from the same source. We have the same opportunities, the same light, the same essence, um,
yeah.
and staying in non-judgment of that. Hey,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And I think that we are all getting exactly what we need. Hey, where we are at, all our growth, all our yeah, in every
Yes.
interaction, whether we perceive it as a positive one or a difficult one, or yeah, it's all about our internal uh, relationship with ourselves and learning about self-love and yeah,
Yes.
understanding ultimately what you just said, that we are all equal. Mm.
Yeah. We are. Yeah. Yeah. And I love that what you said, you know, it's self-love actually. What did you say before that?
Mm.
Lost what I was going to say. Um, I
We all have the same,
misplaced.
yeah. I said we all have the same opportunities. We are from the same source, and we're learning about self-love.
Yeah, I think it's gone.
Yeah,
It's
it's
all good.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Um,
yeah, that was an amazing sharing. I loved it.
yeah, totally. It was
Organically
really
came
lovely.
to, yeah.
Yes, just to let it
Mm,
flow, you know, just
mm,
I love these kind of talks as well because I also want this podcast to be organic, you know, and I just want it to flow and allow the field to speak to us and through
exactly.
us. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
instead of scripting it or making it
exactly.
professional or perfect or whatever, you know.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
we both get our insights. I gained so much through our conversation, just in insights and some clarity. Um, and yeah, I think if we can all share that way, just about our experiences and what we've perceived and what's working and what's been difficult, and then we're sharing and we're creating these like aha moments, which is it's magical. Yeah, it's cool.
Yes. Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
totally. I love that.
Mm.
Wow. Okay. Well,
Cool.
Phil, shall we just finish there? Is there anything more you'd like to share before we
Hmm. I feel like there's one more thing that my higher self wants to bring through is, and that's sort of in the same um
flow?
essence of flow of perseverance, is for us to keep going with aligned action. So perseverance isn't just that we have to push through with like regardless. Like it's not like a bulldozer or an elephant just pushing, and keep going. And um it's more like aligned action. At the moment, it's really important that we act when we feel it, when it's in the flow, to stay in the flow um with ourselves, with what our bodies are asking, with our feelings, with everything, and then take aligned action. I think that's been coming up for me a lot, because we're in a momentum of expansion, yeah. And just to take full advantage of that energy, of that expansion, of what we're observing is growing within us, even though it's quite subtle, like we just agreed, that it's really cool to right now to keep going every time when you feel excited about something, or you feel a joy, or you're um yeah just to kind of like really focus on what you're feeling in the moment. And for me, it's always when something's making me excited to act on it in that moment, in that now moment, whether or not it seems crazy, whether the neighbors are in agreement, or the weather is right, or money's in the bank or not, just try and make it make it flow, make it work that way if you're feeling it. So that's one other thing that I felt my higher self wanted to bring through aligned action so that we can keep expanding, keep moving with that momentum, because there's a big momentum going, energetically speaking, for us to move forwards, to keep going, to persevere. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Love that. Beautiful. Yeah, I find for me when I have a inspiration comes through, I just grab my phone, put on my recorder, and voice it in that
Awesome.
moment. If I'm not here to do a post or whatever, it's like it still needs to be honored in that moment because that's in its richness and its pureness,
Yeah.
expression, and it doesn't take long and it's you may be able to grasp it, but you're going to miss some parts of it. I really
Yeah.
find that's what often happens because there's so much in the field, as well. So
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And we can only just work with what comes through us. But yeah, it's
yeah,
good. Yeah.
in the
I
moment, like you
yeah,
say.
the act on that, that's beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, that's it as far as what I felt to share. I don't know about you, but
Yeah, I feel that's beautiful. I feel, we went on quite a nice journey and there'll be seeds in there for different people for in different ways and ourselves. And yeah, really grateful for you and our sharings. So thank you so much, Arai, for coming on.
Mhm.
Wonderful, as always. And thank you everyone, audience, for coming and listening and joining us. And yeah, may it touch you on a deep level, and may you shine bright and freely express yourself to the world in whatever way that looks. That is aligned for you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you for this chat, Jacob. I really enjoyed it, like always.
Me too.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Much
Bye.
love. Bye bye. Go well.